Hi, it's Tresa. I am back in my kitchen and I am here today to share with you one of my favorite recipes, a recipe that I share with lots of people. It started with a recipe that was my grandmother's actually. And she made these almond, we called them a mertzet. And it was like a biscotti in a way. But we called them a mertzet. That's what she called them. And I have modified them many times over the years. I used to add part almond flour and keep regular all-purpose flour in there, or do like a white wheat flour or something. But I've modified them completely to make them all grain-free with just almond flour. So I want to show you. I've got almond flour in my bowl, and I'm going to add to that some arrowroot powder. And I do put eggs in here as well. You could, I've made them without eggs. You could definitely make this without eggs, but I just like the extra protein of the eggs, and I have farm fresh eggs right here at my house. So I like to add the eggs for the extra protein and helps them to stick together a little bit. So I'm gonna get the dry ingredients in first. So I've got the almond flour. I've got my oven set and ready to go. I'm gonna put some salt in. And I'm not overly generous with salt, but I definitely use salt in all my cooking. I use either sea salt or pink Himalayan salt. I'm also adding some baking powder to help set them up. And that's pretty much it for dry ingredients. If you could, I'm going to use maple syrup today. You could actually use a coconut sugar. I mean, I've done it with, regular like organic sugar as well. But I'm going to get my eggs here. I've got one. I'm using the larger ones that I have. Nice farm fresh eggs. We've got some chickens here. I've actually got an abundance of eggs, so I need to find some more egg recipes. All right, so that's 2 eggs. And I just need to grab a paper towel and wipe my hands. Hang on one second. Thought I had everything prepared, but I was minus one thing. Okay, now I'm gonna add the maple syrup. And I use about 1/2 cup of maple syrup to 5 cups of almond flour. So there's not a ton, and you could use honey. You could use something like allulose, which I haven't tried yet. I have it, and I've been meaning to try that, and I'm going to try that for some recipes so that I can share that with you guys as well. Now, sometimes I make these chocolate chip, and I love to add wild orange when I do the chocolate chip. Today, I'm actually, wild orange essential oil. Today, I've got this star anise oil, which is a really nice anise flavor, and I'm going to add several drops of that to my batter, and just get that mixed up really well. You could add, sometimes if I have the sliced almonds, I'll add sliced almonds. Like I said, sometimes I make them chocolate chip. I'll use like those Enjoy Life mini chocolate chips I like, or I'll use like a dark chocolate or bittersweet chocolate. That's always yummy too. I decided today not to add chocolate. I've got some chopped pecans and walnuts, and I'm going to throw those in. You could add extra nuts. I mean, I don't know about dried fruit. I guess you could, but I would say nuts, chocolate. You could even add some seeds to it if you really wanted to. So it's a pretty thick, just a cookie batter, right? And I'm just going to use this to kind of scrape it off. I'm going to get my hands into this in a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to form them into loaves. And like little mini loaves on my cookie sheet. And I'll show you how I do that. So anyways, my grandmother used to make these all the time. Everybody loved them. They were delicious. And I love snacking on them. But they were loaded with sugar. And they were loaded with flour. And so I wanted to come up with a different option. So that's what I did. So, and I've tried different recipes from different people over the years. So these are my biscotti. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the, I don't have a sink in my kitchen right now, so it does make it a little bit tricky to do some of this because I can't really get my hands into it and then wash them. But I do have some gloves I'm going to grab so I can show you. So I'm just going to scoop it out in like 3 big lumps here. Smells really good. That star anise essential oil smells delicious. And the maple with the nuts and everything. So it's really a very, very simple recipe. And I'm going to take these logs and I'm going to form them. And then I'm going to pop them in the oven and let them bake, and I'll show you step by step. So stay with me. So I am wetting my hands and forming these into sort of loaves. Wetting your hands helps the dough not to stick to your hands, and just it helps you to spread it easier. So they're going to puff up, so I'm going to actually press them down quite a bit and try to make them fit a sheet as best I can. And around the ends a little bit. I try to make them longer and skinnier if I can. So, but there's no perfectness to this, and they're delicious no matter how they come out, so it really doesn't matter what you do. Now, there is one thing that I do, and you don't have to do this, but I do sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top, regular sugar. So I will wet them either with some milk or some water on the top, just a tiny bit, so that they're moist. And then I'm literally just going to take a little bit of sugar. This is just organic sugar. It's kind of stuck in the jar. And I'm literally just going to sprinkle a little bit. I mean, you could sprinkle more. Some people like more. It does look pretty too when they bake with the sugar on the top. Just a little bit. It doesn't need a lot. And that's all there is to it. My oven is ready. Hello. So I am going to pop them in the oven. And I will put this that way so you can see that. Pop them in the oven for about 20 minutes. And let them bake. So I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes. I always check them partway through just to make sure everything's going well. And then once they are starting to brown up a little bit and really set, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them out of the oven, let them cool on the cookie sheet for probably at least 10 minutes. You could let them cool a little bit longer. And then I'm going to slice them up, flip them on their side, put them back in the oven on a lower temperature, and let them get nice and crispy. So the longer you let them sit, sometimes I'll let them sit, turn the oven off and just let them sit for the rest of the day, or if I make them later in the day, overnight in there, and they get nice and crispy, and then I keep them in a tin. But I'll keep showing you step by step as I go along. And I hope that you will enjoy this recipe. I'm back. You saw how I cut them up, and I laid them on the cookie sheet. I put them back in the oven for about 10 minutes each side, so they're nice and crunchy. And I left them in the oven overnight, so it's the next morning. And what I'm gonna do is I like to store them in a tin. Lots of Christmas tins. I use them year round. It's kind of fun. And that way they're gonna stay crunchy, because if you put them in a plastic container, which I don't like to use anyways, they're gonna soften. The tin will keep them nice and crunchy. So I'm just gonna fill the tin, and I will share this recipe with you guys. Like I said, it's so easy. They're so delicious. I like to have them with a cup of coffee in the morning, or sometimes just as like a snack in the afternoon or evening. They're loaded with protein, so they're really good for you. You can make them without eggs, so if you have someone that has an egg allergy, or you prefer not to use eggs and you want to make them vegan, you totally can. Grain-free, refined sugar-free, and they're absolutely yummy. I hope that you enjoy them. God bless.